Hello, my good friends. How are you today? May God bless you all. I will not introduce anything. You guys watch the video and feel it, then let's evaluate together. Seattle doesn't mess around when it rains. It's not a drizzle, it's a goddamn deluge, like the sky's pissed off and wants everyone to know it. That night, in a grimy alley near Pike Place Market, the city was drowning. Neon signs buzzed, casting pink and blue glows on the wet pavement, and the air smelled like coffee grounds and salt water from Puget Sound. I was Ryan Mitchell, billionaire, deal closer, the guy who could buy half this town without blinking. But right then, I was just a man about to get his ass handed to him by a woman who didn't give a shit about my money. I was in my Range Rover, fresh off a soul-sucking meeting with some hospital execs begging for my cash. The rain was hammering the windshield, and I was stuck in traffic, cursing under my breath. My phone kept buzzing Lila, my ex, probably whining about her latest shopping spree. I was done with her fake tears and gold-digging games. That's when I saw her. Through the blur of my wipers, she was standing in the alley, soaked to the core, holding a kid who was bawling his eyes out. Her nurse's scrubs clung to her like a second skin, and she was rummaging through a tattered purse, counting coins with this fierce focus, like she could will the world to bend. The kid Jake, I'd find out, had his arms wrapped around her neck, his dinosaur hoodie slipping off. She wasn't begging, wasn't looking for a handout. She was just there, fighting her own war against the storm. Something about her hit me like a freight train. I pulled over, rolled down the window, and stuck my head out. "Hey, you need a lift." Her eyes snapped to mine, dark and sharp, cutting through the rain like lasers. "I'm good. Thanks," she said, voice hard as steel. "We don't need your pity." The kid wailed louder, and I saw her shoulders tense, like she was carrying every damn problem in the world. "It's a monsoon out here." I tried again, keeping it light. "Kid's gonna turn into a popsicle. I'm not some serial killer. Promise." She glared, rain streaming down her face, braids sticking to her cheeks. Then Jake slipped on the slick pavement, crying out, and she muttered, "Shit. Fine." She scooped him up tighter. "But don't expect me to owe you jack." I grinned. Couldn't help it. "Fair enough." She climbed into the back seat, Jake still sniffling, the car filled with the scent of her wet cotton, a hint of vanilla lotion, something real. I caught her in the rearview mirror, brushing rain off Jake's face, whispering, "We're okay, baby. Just a little water." Her name was Alina Jenkins. I'd learned soon enough. A single mom and nurse who'd seen more shit than most people could handle. Right now, she was all business, keeping her guard up like I was the enemy. "Where we headed?" I asked. "Pulling into the street. Rainier Valley," she said, short and sharp, like she didn't want to give me anything extra. "You know where that is?" "Sure." I lied. I didn't know shit about Rainier Valley. My world was penthouses and private jets. Not corner stores and bus stops, but I'd figure it out. Jake's voice piped up, small but curious. "You got any dinosaurs?" I laughed, thrown off. "Dinosaurs, I'm more of a T-Rex guy. Big teeth, bad attitude." He shook his head, dead serious. "Nuh-uh. Spinosaurus. It's got a sail on its back. Cooler." Alina's lips twitched, almost a smile, and damn if it didn't do something to my chest. "He's a dino nerd," she said, ruffling his hair. "Don't encourage him." Too late. Jake was off, rambling about Spinosaurus facts, and I leaned into it, asking dumb questions to keep him going. "So, This sail thing does it. Like, catch the wind. Anything to see that softness in Alina's eyes again. The city slid by, neon lights smearing across the windows, painting her face in electric hues, pink from a taco joint, blue from a dive bar. She caught me looking once, and her gaze held mine for a split second before she turned away, cheeks darkening. We hit Rainier Valley, a maze of modest houses and flickering streetlights, the kind of place that felt lived in, not curated. She pointed to a tired apartment building, graffiti on the bricks but a community garden out front. I pulled up, expecting her to bolt, but she lingered, Jake dozing against her shoulder. "Thanks," she mumbled, barely loud enough to hear. "Didn't think I'd need this." "No sweat," I said, playing it cool, even though my pulse was racing for reasons I couldn't name. She opened the door, the rain now a soft patter, the air thick with that after-storm smell. Then she stopped, turned back, and before I could blink, she leaned across the seat, grabbed my jacket, and kissed me. Jesus Christ. Her lips were warm, soft, tasting of rain and the faintest hint of peppermint gum. The kiss was raw, desperate, like she was pouring every ounce of her strength and fear into it. My hands moved on their own, cupping her face, her skin slick and cool under my fingers. The neon glow from a nearby vape shop pulsed across her cheekbones, red and purple, like some fever dream. Her breath hitched, a small sound that sent heat racing down my spine, and for one endless moment, the world was just us, her heartbeat against mine, the hum of a distant bus, the rain tapping the roof like a drum. Then she jerked back, eyes wide, like she'd just set fire to her own rules. Shit, I gotta go," she stammered, grabbing Jake and half running to the building, her sneakers splashing in puddles. I sat there, heart hammering, the taste of her still on my lips. "What the actual hell?" I muttered, gripping the steering wheel like it could anchor me. She was gone, the lobby door swinging shut, but I could still feel her, like a ghost in my veins. Let's back up a bit, because this didn't start in that alley. It started a week ago, when I was still Ryan Mitchell, CEO of Mitchell Industries, the guy who could make or break fortunes with a signature. I had it all: fancy suits, a penthouse with a view of the Space Needle, a life most people only dreamed of, but it was hollow. Lila, my ex, had been the final nail in that coffin. All designer bags and calculated tears, always angling for what my money could buy. When we broke up, I swore off relationships, convinced nobody saw me past the dollar signs. I was in Seattle for a meeting with Harborview Medical Center, tossing around a donation for their ER expansion. That's where Alina's name came up. Some nurse who'd pulled a miracle during a trauma case, working doubles to keep her kid fed. The admin mentioned her like she was a footnote, but the name stuck with me, like a song you can't shake. I didn't know then that she'd be the one to unravel me. Alina's world was miles from mine. She grew up in Rainier Valley, raised by a grandma who'd belt out gospel hymns while frying catfish. Her mom died when she was 10, cancer eating her away, and her dad was a no-show from day one. Jake's father split when she was pregnant, leaving her to raise a kid on her own. She was a nurse, studying nights to become a nurse practitioner, juggling bills and dreams like a tightrope walker. But she was proud, the kind of proud that came from surviving shit most people couldn't imagine. That night, she'd been at her limit, a 14-hour shift. Jake throwing a tantrum because he missed his daycare friends, and a landlord breathing down her neck for rent. She'd stood in her kitchen, staring at a stack of overdue notices, and whispered, "Keep it together, girl." It was her grandma's voice in her head, the one that got her through. She'd sung Jake to sleep with amazing grace, her voice low and steady, filling their cramped apartment with something like hope. Kissing me. That was a glitch, a moment where her guard slipped, where the weight of everything pushed her to do something reckless. But the second her lips left mine, she panicked, not because of me, but because she didn't trust herself to want something or someone new, not after all the times life had kicked her down. The morning after, I was a mess. I sat in my office, the city sprawling below, but all I could see was Alina, her eyes, her fire, that kiss. My assistant, Jen, poked her head in. "You good? Ryan, you're staring at that coffee like it owes you money." "Rough night," I said, dodging. Rough didn't cover it. I was hooked, and I didn't even know her last name. I had to find her. I called the hospital, pulled some strings, yeah, I know. Not my finest moment, and got her name Alina Jenkins. ER nurse, Rainier Valley, no Instagram, no LinkedIn, just a woman living her life. That made her even more real. And I was already half gone. Then my phone pinged. A text from Keisha, Alina's best friend, who I'd bribed a nurse to pass my number to. "Alina's freaking out about that kiss. Says you're bad news. You gonna fuck this up?" I smirked, texting back. "Not bad news, just interested. Interested gets you blocked." "Rich boy," she shot back. "Tread light." She wasn't wrong. Alina was a fortress, and I was standing at the gates with no map. But I wasn't backing down. Not after that kiss. Not after feeling something real for the first time in years. The rain had stopped, but Seattle felt alive, buzzing with possibility. I drove home, the memory of Alina's lips like a brand on my soul. I didn't know then that she'd challenge everything, my secrets, my fears, my whole damn life. But I knew I was in deep, and there was no turning back. So, what's your take? Was that kiss a spark or a mistake? Smash that subscribe button and drop a comment. Tell me what you think Ryan and Alina are in for next. This story's just getting started, and it's gonna be one wild ride. Memphis hits you like a shot of whiskey warm, gritty, and full of soul. Beale Street was alive that night, the heart of the city pumping with blues riffs and the clink of beer bottles. Neon signs glowed above dive bars, spilling pink and gold light onto the pavement, and the air smelled like BBQ ribs and cigarette smoke. I was Ryan Mitchell, still reeling from that kiss in Seattle, chasing a woman who'd probably tell me to go to hell if she knew who I really was, but damn, I couldn't stay away. It had been 2 weeks since Alina Jenkins turned my world upside down with her lips and her fire. I'd spent those weeks digging, using every connection I had to track her down without looking like a stalker. Turns out, she was in Memphis for a medical conference, some big deal for ER nurses. I pulled strings, don't judge. I'm not proud, and got myself invited as a consultant for the hospital's charity arm. Total bullshit. But it got me in the door. The conference was at the Peabody Hotel, all chandeliers and overpriced wine, but I wasn't there for the speeches. I spotted her across the ballroom, wearing a simple black dress that hugged her curves like it was made for her. Her braids were swept up, a few loose strands brushing her neck, and she was laughing with a group of nurses, her smile lighting up the room. My chest tightened. She was real, not some polished trophy like the women I was used to. I wanted her bad, but I knew one wrong move and she'd shut me down faster than a bar at last call. I made my way over, dodging suits and small talk, and caught her eye. Her smile faltered, then hardened. "You," she said, crossing her arms. "What the hell are you doing here?" Nice to see you too, I said, flashing a grin. I'm working. Consulting gig. You... She raised an eyebrow, not buying it. Conference. Learning how to save lives, not close deals. Fair enough, I said, leaning closer, catching a whiff of her vanilla scent. But you gotta admit, this is some kind of fate, right? Running into each other like this. Fate? She snorted, but her eyes softened. Just a fraction. More like you're too damn persistent. Before I could reply, a guy in scrubs, tall, built, with a smile that screamed. Nice guy walked up. Alina, you good? He asked, giving me a once-over like I was trouble. I'm fine, Derek, she said, but her tone was tight. This is Ryan. From Seattle. Derek nodded. Slow, his eyes lingering on me. Cool. Just checking. He touched her arm, and I felt a stab of something I hadn't felt in years. Jealousy. Shit. Friend of yours, I asked, keeping my voice casual, even though I wanted to knock that hand off her. Co-worker, she said, stepping away from Derek. We're tight. Right. Yeah, he said, but his smile didn't reach his eyes. Tight. The tension was thick, but then a woman with bright red curls and a laugh like a foghorn barreled over. Alina, you holding out on me, she said, sizing me up. Who's the suit, Keisha? Meet Ryan, Alina said, rolling her eyes. Ryan. Keisha. My ride or die. So don't try anything stupid. Keisha grinned, all teeth and attitude. Oh, I know you. The kiss and run guy from Seattle. Alina's been bitching about you nonstop. Keisha. Alina hissed, cheeks darkening. I laughed, liking Keisha already. Good to know I'm memorable. The night rolled on, and I stuck close, playing it smooth. Alina was guarded. But she didn't tell me to get lost, which I took as a win. After the conference crap wrapped up, Keisha dragged us to a blues joint on Beale Street, the kind of place where the music grabs your soul and doesn't let go. The bar was packed, air thick with sweat and bourbon, and a sax player was tearing it up, notes sliding through the room like liquid fire. Dance with me, I said to Alina, holding out a hand as the band shifted to a slow, sultry tune. She hesitated, her eyes searching mine, like she was looking for a lie. I don't dance with strangers, she said, but her voice was softer now, less edge. I'm not a stranger, I said, stepping closer, my voice low. I'm the guy you kissed in the rain. Her breath caught, and for a second, I thought she'd bolt. But then she took my hand, her fingers warm against mine, and let me pull her to the dance floor. The crowd parted, and we moved together, her body close, her hips swaying to the saxophone's wail. My hand rested on her waist, the thin fabric of her dress no match for the heat of her skin. She smelled like vanilla and something deeper, like home, and every time her eyes met mine, my pulse kicked up a notch. Damn. You're good at this, I murmured, my lips brushing her ear. Accidental, but not really. Don't get cocky, she shot back. But she didn't pull away, her head tilted, resting against my chest for a heartbeat, and I could feel her pulse, fast and alive, matching the rhythm of the music. The neon lights above the bar blue, gold. Flickering cast shadows across her face, making her look like a dream I didn't deserve. My fingers tightened on her waist, and she let out a small sound, barely audible, that sent a jolt straight through me. The song ended too soon, and we stepped apart, both breathing harder than we should have been. She looked at me, eyes dark and unguarded, and I wanted to kiss her again, right there, with the whole damn bar watching. But Derek showed up, breaking the spell. "Alina, you want a drink?" he asked, his tone too friendly, his eyes on me like I was a problem. "I'm good," she said, but she moved closer to him, and I felt that jealousy flare again. Keisha swooped in, slinging an arm around Alina. "Girl, you're giving me whiplash. Pick a vibe hot and heavy or Ice Queen." "Shut up," Alina muttered, but she was smiling, and I couldn't look away. Later, we ended up at a BBQ joint down the street, the kind of place with sticky tables and sauce-stained menus. Keisha was telling stories about her hair salon, dropping F-bombs like confetti, while Derek kept trying to steer the conversation to work. Alina was quieter, watching me, like she was piecing together a puzzle. I kept my answers vague, consulting. Business trips. Nothing too flashy, but I could tell she wasn't buying it. "So, Ryan," Derek said, leaning back, arms crossed. "What's your deal? You don't strike me as the hospital type." "Just helping out," I said, sipping my beer. "Charity stuff keeps me grounded." "Grounded," Alina repeated, her voice dry. "Right. You look real down to earth in that $1,000 suit." Keisha cackled. "Ooh, she's got your number. Pretty boy." I smirked, but inside, I was sweating. She was too sharp, and I was walking a tightrope. If she found out I was Ryan Mitchell, billionaire CEO, she'd run for the hills. I'd seen it before, people's eyes changing, seeing dollar signs instead of me. But Alina was different. She didn't want my money. Hell, she barely wanted me. "Tell me about you," I said, turning the tables. "What's your story?" "Alina," she shrugged, picking at her ribs. "Not much to tell. Nurse, mom, trying to keep my head above water." "Bullshit," Keisha cut in. "She's a badass. Saved a guy's life last month, runs on 3 hours of sleep, and still makes time to read dinosaur books to Jake. Don't let her play humble." Alina shot Keisha a look, but there was pride in her eyes. "It's just what I do," she said. "Jake's my why. Always has been." I leaned forward, genuinely curious. "He's a cool kid. Where'd he get the dino obsession?" Her face softened. And damn, it was beautiful. "My grandma. She used to take me to the library, let me check out every dino book they had, said knowledge was power. I'm passing it on." "Smart lady," I said, and I meant it. Sounds like she raised a hell of a woman. She held my gaze, something flickering between us, like a spark catching. "She did," she said, voice low. Derek cleared his throat, breaking the moment. "So, Alina, you still studying for that NP exam? You're gonna kill it." "Yeah," she said, glancing at him. "One day at a time." I hated how easy he was with her, how he knew her world in ways I didn't. But I wasn't backing down. Not after that dance, not after feeling her against me, her heartbeat syncing with mine. The night ended with Keisha dragging Alina back to their hotel, but not before I slipped her my number on a napkin. "In case you need another ride," I said, winking. She rolled her eyes, but pocketed it. "Don't hold your breath." As they walked away, Keisha called over her shoulder, "Don't screw this up, rich boy." I laughed, but my mind was racing. I was in deep, and I hadn't even told her the truth. I wasn't just Ryan, the guy who helped her in the rain. I was Ryan Mitchell, with a net worth that could buy this whole damn street. And if she found out before I could show her I was real, I'd lose her, back at my hotel. I couldn't sleep. The memory of that dance kept playing on loop, her body pressed against mine, the saxophone's wail, the way her eyes held mine like she saw something worth keeping. But Derek's face kept creeping in, and so did Keisha's warning. Alina wasn't just a single mom or a nurse. She was a force, rooted in a world I barely understood. Her grandma's gospel hymns, the soul food Sundays she'd mentioned in passing, the way she carried her history like armor, it was all part of her. And I wanted in, not to change her, but to know her. The next morning, I got a text from an unknown number. Saw you on a Forbes list. Care to explain? Alina. My stomach dropped. Shit, she was onto me, and I had no idea how to play this without losing her. But one thing was clear. Memphis was just the start, and I was already fighting for something I couldn't afford to lose. Asheville's got this vibe, like it's stuck in a dream where artists and hippies run the show. The Blue Ridge Mountains loom in the distance, all misty and green, while the streets of Biltmore Village are lined with cobblestones and quirky shops selling everything from pottery to CBD gummies. The air smells like pine and fresh-baked bread, and there's always some busker strumming a guitar nearby. I was Ryan Mitchell, still playing a dangerous game of half-truths, chasing a woman who'd already burned her way into my soul. And in Asheville, I was about to learn just how deep I'd fallen and how fast it could all go to hell. It had been a month since Memphis, since that dance on Beale Street that left me dizzy with want. Alina Jenkins was under my skin. Her laugh, her fire, the way she looked at me like I was a puzzle she hadn't decided to solve. That text about Forbes, I dodged it with some vague bullshit about consulting for big names, and she'd let it slide. But I could feel her watching me closer. I was walking a tightrope, and the drop was getting steeper. I'd convinced her to bring Jake for a weekend in Asheville, spinning a story about a company retreat house I'd borrowed. Truth. I owned the damn place. A cabin tucked in the woods with a view that could make you believe in God. I wanted her to see me, not the billionaire, just Ryan, the guy who'd play dinosaurs with her kid and make her smile. But I was starting to wonder if I could pull it off. We met at the River Arts District, a stretch of old warehouses turned studios, where graffiti murals splashed color on every wall. Alina was in jeans and a faded Aretha Franklin tee, her braids loose. Jake bouncing beside her in a Jurassic Park cap. She looked relaxed, almost happy, and it hit me hard how much I wanted to be part of this. Her world, her light. Fancy spot, she said, eyeing me as we walked. Your company must love you. Hooking you up with a place like this? I shrugged, keeping it casual. Perks of the job? You like it? She glanced at Jake, who was staring wide-eyed at a guy painting a mural of a wolf. He's in heaven. So yeah, it's cool. Cool doesn't cover it, I said, nudging her. Wait till you see the cabin. Got a fire pit, s'mores, the works. She raised an eyebrow, a smirk tugging at her lips. S'mores. You trying to bribe us? City boy. Damn right. I shot back, grinning. Jake's already on my side. Right. Buddy Jake looked up, clutching a paintbrush he'd gotten from an artist. Yeah, Ryan knows Spinosaurus has a bigger sale than T-Rex. Alina laughed, the sound warm and real, and for a second, I forgot the lies, the secrets, everything but her. The day was perfect. We wandered the district, Jake darting between studios, Alina snapping pics of him with her phone. She told me about her mom, who used to sew quilts with patterns from their gala ancestors, each stitch a story of survival. She'd love this place, Alina said, touching a woven scarf in a shop. All this art, People making something out of nothing. Sounds like you, I said, before I could stop myself. She looked at me, surprised, then soft. Don't get all mushy on me. Ryan. Too late, I said, and her smile lingered, like a promise. That afternoon, we drove to the cabin, a cedar and glass beauty nestled in the forest. Jake ran straight to the backyard, obsessed with a treehouse I'd had fixed up just for him. Alina stood on the porch, arms crossed, taking it all in the mountains, the quiet, the way the sunlight filtered through the pines. "This is too much," she said, voice low. "You sure this is just a borrow swear?" I lied, my stomach twisting. "Just enjoy it." "All right?" She nodded, but her eyes were sharp, like she was adding another piece to that puzzle of me. The next day, we hiked to a hidden waterfall, a spot the locals swore by. The trail was muddy, the air cool and earthy, and Jake led the way, wielding a stick like a sword. Alina and I trailed behind, our shoulders brushing as we navigated roots and rocks. Her laugh echoed when Jake declared himself king of the forest, and I wanted to bottle that sound, keep it forever. At the falls, the water roared, a silver curtain crashing into a pool below, mist rising like smoke. Jake splashed at the edge, hunting for dino fossils, while Alina and I sat on a flat rock, the spray cooling our skin. She was close, her knee against mine, and the air felt charged, like a storm was coming. "You're good with him," she said, watching Jake. "Most guys would have bailed by now." "I'm not most guys," I said, turning to her. "And Jake's awesome. Takes after his mom." She rolled her eyes, but her cheeks flushed. "Smooth talker, only when it's true," I said, and I meant it. She was everything strong, real, the kind of woman who made you want to be better. The moment stretched, the falls roar fading to a hum. I reached for her hand, my fingers brushing hers, and she didn't pull away. "Alina," I started, voice rough. "I know I'm not what you expected." "Shut up," she said, soft but firm, and then she leaned in, kissing me. Holy hell. It was electric. Her lips were warm, hungry, tasting of mint and the wild sweetness of the forest. My hands slid to her waist, pulling her closer, her body soft and strong against mine. The mist from the falls clung to her skin, cool and slick, and I could feel her pulse racing under my fingers. The sunlight broke through the trees, dappling her face in gold, like she was part of the damn earth itself. Her breath hitched, a low moan escaping as my lips grazed her jaw, and it set every nerve in me on fire. The sound of the water was everywhere, loud and wild, drowning out the world, leaving just us, this moment, this need. She pulled back, eyes wide, breathing hard. "Damn. Ryan," she whispered, half laughing, half shocked. "What are we doing?" "Losing our minds," I said, my voice hoarse, and she laughed, the sound cutting through the tension. But then Jake yelled, "Mom, I found a rock shaped like a claw," and we snapped back to reality, both of us grinning like idiots. That night, we took Jake to a gallery opening in Biltmore Village, a favor for a friend who ran the place. Another lie my company funded it. The gallery was packed, all fairy lights and wine glasses, with paintings that looked like fever dreams. Alina was in a green dress that made her glow, and Jake was busy charming the artists with his dino facts. I couldn't take my eyes off her, The way she moved. The way she listened when people talked. Like she gave a damn. Then I saw her. Lila, my ex, strutting in like she owned the place. Her blonde hair gleaming. Her dress screaming money. She spotted me and made a beeline, all fake smiles and venom. "Ryan, darling," she purred, loud enough for everyone to hear. "You didn't tell me you'd be in Asheville, still slumming it." I see. My stomach dropped. Alina was a few feet away, talking to an artist, but I saw her stiffen, her head turning slightly. "Lila," I said, voice tight. "Not now." "Oh, come on," she said, touching my arm, her nails sharp. "We had such good times. That yacht in Monaco. Those nights in Paris, don't pretend you've forgotten." I pulled away, but the damage was done. Alina was looking at us, her face unreadable, but her eyes were cold, like she'd just seen the real me. Lila kept talking, dropping names and memories, each word a knife. I wanted to shut her up, but Alina was already moving, grabbing Jake's hand. "We're heading back," she said, her voice flat, not meeting my eyes. "Jake's tired." "Alina, wait," I started. But she was gone, weaving through the crowd, her green dress a flash in the dim light. Lila smirked. "Oops. Did I scare off your little project? Screw you." "Lila," I snapped, pushing past her, but Alina was out the door, and I knew I'd fucked up. Not because of Lila, but because I hadn't told Alina the truth about my money, my life, the world I came from. She'd heard it from someone else, and now she thought I was playing her. I drove to the cabin, my knuckles white on the wheel. She wasn't there. A text from Keisha came through. "She's with me at a motel. Says you're a liar. What did you do? Dumbass." I didn't answer. I stood on the porch, the mountains silent around me, and felt something break inside. Alina wasn't just a fling, a distraction. She was the realest thing I'd ever known, and I'd let her slip away, her laugh, her strength. The way she'd kissed me by that waterfall, it was all I could see. And now, because of my own cowardice, she thought I was just another rich guy toying with her heart. But I wasn't done. Not by a long shot. Asheville had shown me what I could have with her, and I'd fight like hell to get it back. The question was, would she let me? Miami's South Beach is a fever dream, palm trees swaying, neon lights pulsing, and music that makes your blood hum. Ocean Drive was electric that night. Salsa beats spilling from open-air bars, the air thick with salt, rum, and perfume. I was Ryan Mitchell, a man who'd built an empire, but was about to lose the one thing that mattered. Alina Jenkins had me by the throat, and I was chasing her to the edge of the world, knowing one wrong move could end it all. It had been 2 weeks since Asheville, since Lila's venomous little show at that gallery tore open the cracks between us. Alina had ghosted me, leaving only Keisha's texts to clue me in. "She's hurt, dumbass. Thinks you're playing her." That night in the mountains, her kiss by the waterfall, her laugh with Jake haunted me. I'd fucked up by not telling her the truth, and now she thought I was just another rich prick with a side hustle in heartbreak. I found out she was in Miami for a nurse training program, some intensive course for ER trauma. I booked a flight, rented a penthouse suite overlooking the ocean, and told myself I'd make this right. Not with money, but with the truth. Problem was, I was still scared shitless she'd look at me differently once she knew I was Ryan Mitchell, billionaire CEO, the guy Forbes couldn't shut up about. I tracked her to a rooftop bar on Ocean Drive, a place dripping with fairy lights and mojitos, the kind of spot where influencers posed and tourists got sloppy. She was there with a group from her program, wearing a red dress that hugged her like a lover. Her braid swept over one shoulder. She was laughing, but it didn't reach her eyes, and I knew she was carrying the weight of Asheville, of me, of every damn thing. I walked up, heart pounding, and caught her gaze. Her smile vanished, replaced by a wall of ice. "You've got some nerve," she said, voice low, crossing her arms. "What? You stalking me now?" "Not stalking," I said. "Hands up. Just needed to see you. Can we talk?" Her eyes narrowed, but before she could answer, Derek, fucking Derek. The nice guy nurse who was always too close stepped in. "Everything okay?" "Alina," he asked, his tone saying he'd love to punch me. "I'm fine," she said, but her jaw was tight. Ryan was just leaving. "Nah, I'm not," I said, stepping closer, my voice firm. 5 minutes. "Alina, please." She sighed, glancing at Derek, who looked like he wanted to argue but backed off. 5 minutes, she said, leading me to a quieter corner of the bar, where the ocean stretched dark and endless below. The fairy lights above cast a soft glow on her face, highlighting the curve of her cheekbones, the fire in her eyes. The salsa music pulsed, a conga drum driving the rhythm, and I could smell her vanilla, coconut, something that made my head spin. "Talk," she said, arms still crossed. "And don't waste my time." I took a breath, the truth clawing its way up. "I'm sorry about Asheville. Lila's my ex, and she's a goddamn vulture. What she said, it's not who I am. Not with you." "Then who are you?" she snapped, her voice sharp. "Because I'm starting to think I don't know shit about you. Fancy cabins, showing up in Memphis. Now Miami, you're not just some consultant. Ryan." My stomach twisted. This was it, the moment I'd been dodging. But before I could speak, she leaned closer, her eyes searching mine, and the air between us crackled. "Why do I keep wanting to believe you?" she whispered, almost to herself. I couldn't help it. I stepped forward, closing the gap, my hand brushing her arm. Her skin was warm, electric, and her breath hitched, her lips parting just enough to drive me crazy. The neon lights from the bar pink, teal danced across her face, and the sound of waves crashing below mixed with the salsa beat, like the world was urging us closer. I leaned in, my lips hovering over hers, so close I could taste her breath mint, rum, desire. My hand slid to her waist, fingers grazing the silk of her dress, and she didn't pull away. Her eyes locked on mine, daring me to cross the line, but then she stiffened, pushing me back. "No," she said, voice shaking. "I'm not doing this. Not until you tell me the truth." I froze, the moment shattering. "Alina, don't." She cut me off, stepping back, her chest heaving. "You're hiding something, and I'm not a fool." Before I could respond, a voice sliced through the noise. "Ryan, darling Lila, fucking Lila," strutting across the rooftop in a white dress that screamed money, her smile all teeth. She threw her arms around me, her perfume choking the air, and I saw Alina's face go blank, like a door slamming shut. "Lila, get off," I growled, prying her away, but she was already talking, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Oh, come on, don't be shy," she purred, glancing at Alina. "I was just telling my friends about our little getaway in Ibiza. You remember, don't you? The private villa, the champagne." Alina's eyes flicked to me. Cold as ice. Ibiza? Huh, she said, her voice flat. Sounds like quite a life. It's not... I started. But Lila cut in, her laugh like nails on a chalkboard. Oh, sweetie, didn't he tell you, she said to Alina, all fake pity. Ryan's not just some suit, he's Ryan Mitchell. Billionaire, king of Mitchell Industries, owns half of Seattle, probably this bar too. The world stopped. Alina's face didn't change, but I saw it, the betrayal, the hurt, like I'd stabbed her. Billionaire, she repeated, her voice barely audible over the music. That's what you've been hiding. Alina. Listen. I reached for her, but she stepped back, her eyes blazing. You let me think you were just... You, she said, her voice breaking. You watched me count quarters for the bus, let me pay for BBQ in Memphis, all while you're sitting on a fortune, fuck you. Ryan, I'm not your charity case. You're not... I tried. But she was shaking her head, tears glinting in her eyes. Jake asked about you. She said, quieter now, each word a knife. Wanted to know if you could come to his Dino Museum trip. I told him you were a good guy. God, I'm such an idiot. She turned, pushing through the crowd, her red dress a blur. I went after her. But Derek was there, blocking my path. Let her go. Man, he said, his voice low. You've done enough. Get out of my way. I snapped, but he didn't budge, and by the time I got to the stairs, Alina was gone, swallowed by the Miami night. I stood on the street, the salsa music mocking me, the neon lights blurring in my vision. I'd had her, right there, her lips almost mine, her trust so close I could taste it, and now it was gone. Ripped away by Lila's venom and my own cowardice. I wanted to scream, to punch something, but all I could do was replay her words. I'm not your charity case. Lila sauntered out, smirking. Trouble in paradise, she said, lighting a cigarette. Fuck off. Lila, I said, my voice raw. You happy now? She laughed, exhaling smoke. Oh, darling, I'm thrilled. You'll thank me later when you're back with someone who fits your world. I walked away, her laugh echoing in my head. My world. That was the problem. My world was penthouses and private jets, boardrooms and bullshit. Alina's world was Jake's dino books, late-night study sessions, soul food Sundays with Keisha. She'd let me in, just a little, and I'd blown it by hiding who I was. I spent the night pacing my suite, the ocean view mocking me. I texted Keisha, begging for a chance to explain, but she shut me down. She's done. Ryan, you lied to her face. Good luck fixing that. I called Alina, left voicemails she'd probably delete. I'm sorry, I said, my voice cracking. I was scared you'd see me as just money. I'm still the guy who danced with you, who loves Jake's dino facts. Please, just talk to me. No reply. I thought about Alina, about the way she'd talked about her mom in Asheville, how her gala quilts told stories of strength. She'd learned to dance salsa from her aunt. She'd said, spinning in her living room to Celia Cruz records, laughing till she cried. That was her rooted, real, carrying her history like a shield. And I'd treated her like she couldn't handle the truth, like she wasn't strong enough to know me. The worst part, she was falling for me. I'd seen it in her eyes, felt it in that almost kiss, and now she thought it was all a lie. I'd lost her. And it hurt worse than anything, worse than Lila's betrayal, worse than any deal gone south. The next morning, I saw her. She was walking on the beach, alone, her dress swapped for jeans and a hoodie, her braids loose in the wind. I watched from a distance, wanting to run to her, to beg, but I knew I'd only make it worse. Derek showed up, carrying 2 coffees, and she smiled at him, small but real. He said something, and she laughed, and my heart cracked open. He was there, in her world, and I was out here, a stranger again. I thought about grand gestures, buying her program, funding her dreams, but that wasn't what she wanted. She wanted truth, respect, the man who'd sat with her by a waterfall, not the billionaire who'd lied, and I had no idea how to give her that, not when she was slipping away. Miami had broken us, and I didn't know if we could be fixed. But I wasn't giving up. Not on her. Not on Jake. Not on the chance to be the man she'd seen in me, even for a moment. Santa Fe's got a magic you can't fake. The city sits quiet under a sky so big it makes you feel small, with adobe buildings glowing warm in the sunset and the air smelling like sage and roasted chilies. Canyon Road was alive that evening, strung with lanterns, artists hawking paintings, and mariachi music drifting from some hidden courtyard. I was Ryan Mitchell, a man who'd built a fortune but lost the only woman who ever saw me for real. In Miami, I'd watched Alina Jenkins walk away, her trust in me shattered. Now, in Santa Fe, I was ready to fight like hell to win her back, even if it meant baring my soul to the world. It had been 3 weeks since that rooftop disaster in Miami, since Lila blew up my lies and Alina called me out for playing her. Her words, "I'm not your charity case," cut deeper than any boardroom loss. I'd spent those weeks drowning in regret, replaying every moment, her laugh in Asheville, her kiss by the waterfall, the way Jake's dino facts lit up her eyes. I'd tried calling, texting, but she'd gone radio silent. Keisha's updates were my only lifeline. "She's pissed, but she misses you. Don't fuck this up again." I found out Alina was in Santa Fe for a hospital scholarship announcement, some program for nurses chasing advanced degrees. I saw my chance, not to buy her back, God. I'd learned that lesson, but to show her I was the man she'd danced with in Memphis, not the billionaire who'd hidden behind lies. I'd poured millions into a scholarship fund for nurses, named it after Alina Jenkins, and made damn sure it wasn't a publicity stunt. It was real, like her, and I was here to prove it. The event was at an outdoor plaza, all fairy lights and clay pots bursting with flowers. I stood at the back, heart hammering, as the hospital director droned on about the fund. Alina was up front, in a simple white blouse and jeans, her braids pulled back, looking like she'd rather be anywhere else. Jake was with Keisha at a nearby table, coloring a dino book, oblivious to the storm brewing. When the director called me up, the crowd hushed. Alina's head snapped up, her eyes locking on mine, a mix of shock and fury. I took the mic, my mouth dry, and started talking. "This fund's for nurses like Alina Jenkins," I said, my voice steady despite the nerves. "She's the best of us, saving lives, raising a kid, chasing dreams no matter what. I'm Ryan Mitchell, CEO of Mitchell Industries, and I'm here because I screwed up. I lied to her, hid who I was, because I was scared she'd see me as just money. But she saw me, the real me, and I broke her trust." The crowd murmured, but Alina was stone still, her face unreadable. I kept going, laying it all bare. "I'm sorry, Alina. Not for the fund that's yours. No strings. I'm sorry for not trusting you to handle the truth. You're stronger than anyone I know, and I'm begging for a chance to make this right." I stepped off the stage, the silence deafening, and walked toward her. Her eyes were wet, but she didn't move, didn't speak. Keisha whistled low, muttering, "Ballsy move. Rich boy." Jake looked up, waving. "Hi. Ryan. You know about Ankylosaurus yet?" I forced a smile, but my focus was Alina. "Can we talk?" I asked, voice low. She crossed her arms, her voice cold. "You think a speech fixes this? You lied to my face. Ryan. For months. I know." I said, my chest tight. I was a coward. "Let me explain. Please." She hesitated, then nodded, leading me to a quiet corner of the plaza, where the lanterns cast a warm glow on her skin. The air smelled like desert dust and lavender, and the distant strum of a guitar made the moment feel fragile, like it could break with one wrong word. "Start talking," she said, her eyes hard, but searching. I took a breath, the truth spilling out. "I'm a billionaire. Yeah, I run a company, own properties, all that shit. But with you, I wasn't that guy. I was just Ryan, the idiot who loved watching you laugh, who'd learn every dino fact to make Jake smile. I hid the truth because everyone else sees my money first. I thought you'd be different, but I was too scared to test it." Her jaw tightened, but she didn't look away. "You watched me struggle. Ryan, I was counting change for groceries, and you hunting for bus fare, while you were sitting on billions. You think that's fair, no?" I said, my voice raw. "It's not. I was wrong, and I hate that I hurt you. I'd give it all up if it meant you'd trust me again." She laughed, bitter. "Give it up. Please. You don't know what it's like to fight for every damn thing. Then teach me," I said, stepping closer, my voice urgent. "Show me your world. I want to know you. Alina. All of you." Her eyes softened, just a fraction. But then she shook her head. "I need time. Ryan. This. It's too much." I nodded, swallowing the ache in my throat. "Take all the time you need. I'm not going anywhere. Later." We walked down Canyon Road, the street quiet except for the crunch of gravel under our shoes. The sky was a riot of stars, the air cool, and Alina was beside me, her presence both a comfort and a challenge. We stopped in a small garden, tucked behind an art gallery, where lavender bushes bloomed and a fountain bubbled softly. The moonlight painted her in silver, her skin glowing, her eyes deep and unguarded. "Thank you," she said, her voice soft. "For the scholarship. It's everything I've worked for. You earned it," I said, my heart pounding. "You deserve the world, Alina." She looked at me, her breath catching, and the space between us felt alive. Electric. I stepped closer, my hand brushing her cheek, her skin warm and smooth. "I miss you," I whispered, my voice rough. "Every damn day." She didn't pull away. Her eyes locked on mine, and then she leaned in, her lips finding mine. The kiss was slow, deliberate, like she was testing me, tasting the truth. Her lips were soft, warm, carrying the faint sweetness of horchata from the plaza. My arms wrapped around her, pulling her close, her body fitting against mine like it belonged there. The scent of lavender filled the air, mixing with her vanilla warmth and the moonlight caught in her braids, making her look like a goddess. Her fingers dug into my shoulders, a quiet moan escaping her, and it sent a shiver down my spine, every nerve awake and alive. The fountain's murmur was a steady pulse, grounding us, but the kiss was a fire, burning away the hurt, the lies, leaving only us. She pulled back, breathless, her forehead against mine. "This doesn't mean we're good," she said, her voice shaky but firm. "It means I'm trying. That's enough," I said, my voice thick, more than enough. We sat on a bench, the night wrapping around us, and she talked, really talked, about her grandma's gospel choir, how they'd sing Wade in the Water until the church shook, about her aunt, who'd taught her to cook jollof rice, each spice a lesson in love. Her voice was steady, proud, carrying the weight of her history, her people. I listened, soaking it in, knowing this was her gift to me, her truth, raw and real. But then she stopped, her eyes distant. "Derek asked me to marry him," she said, her voice barely audible. "Yesterday." My heart stopped. "What?" "He's good." "Ryan," she said, looking at her hands. "Safe. He knows my world, gets what it's like. He'd be a great dad to Jake." I felt like I'd been punched. Derek, with his easy smiles and coffee runs, had stepped into the space I'd left empty. "What'd you say?" I asked, my voice hoarse. "I told him I needed time," she said, meeting my eyes. "Because of you. Because I don't know if I can trust you, but I feel you. Ryan. Even now." I took her hand, her fingers trembling in mine. "I'm not him," I said, my voice fierce. "I'm not safe. Maybe. But I'm yours. Every fucked up, trying to be better part of me, and I'll fight for you, for Jake, for as long as it takes." She didn't speak, but she squeezed my hand, and it was enough, a lifeline, a chance. Keisha found us later, Jake asleep in her arms. "Y'all sorted?" she asked, smirking. "Working on it," Alina said, her smile small but real. "Good," Keisha said, handing Jake to her. "Don't mess this up. Rich boy, I know where to hide a body." I laughed, but my mind was on Derek's proposal, a shadow I couldn't ignore. Alina was giving me a shot, but she was torn, caught between a man who fit her world and the idiot who'd broken her heart. Santa Fe had given me hope, but it wasn't over, not by a long shot. As we walked back to the plaza, Alina's shoulder brushed mine, and I felt it, the spark, the fight, the chance to be the man she deserved. But Derek was out there, waiting, and I had to prove I was worth choosing. San Francisco's got a way of stealing your breath. The Golden Gate Bridge stretches across the bay like a promise, its red-orange towers glowing against a sunset that paints the sky in fire and gold. The air's crisp, salty from the Pacific, with seagulls crying and the distant hum of city life. I was Ryan Mitchell, a man who'd once thought money was everything, now standing on the edge of forever with Alina Jenkins, the woman who'd taught me what real love meant. After months of lies, fights, and redemption, this was our moment, and I wasn't letting it slip away. It had been 6 months since Santa Fe, since that night under the stars when Alina kissed me and gave me a chance to prove myself. Those months weren't easy. She'd been torn, caught between me and Derek, the safe bet who'd offered her a ring and a life that fit her world. But I'd fought for her, not with grand gestures or cash, but with truth showing up for Jake's dino museum trips, learning her grandma's gumbo recipe, sitting through her late-night study sessions for her nurse practitioner exam. I'd laid it all bare. No more secrets. And slowly, she'd let me back in. We were in San Francisco for a hospital charity gala, one I'd helped fund but kept my name off, letting Alina's scholarship program take the spotlight. She'd aced her first semester of grad school, and Jake was thriving, his dino obsession now including a blog he dictated to Alina about Cretaceous heroes. Keisha was here too, still calling me rich boy, but with a grin that said I'd earned her respect. Derek. He'd backed off, found someone new, and sent Alina a quiet apology for pushing too hard. The path was clear, but I was still nervous as hell. Tonight, I was going to ask her to marry me. The gala was at a waterfront venue, all glass walls and candlelight, with views of the bay and Alcatraz in the distance. Alina looked like a damn dream in a navy dress that shimmered when she moved. Her braids twisted into an elegant updo. A silver cross necklace glinting at her throat, her grandma's, the one she wore for strength. Jake was with Keisha, charming the crowd with his latest dino fact. Ankylosaurus had a club tail, like a ninja weapon. I caught Alina's eye across the room, and her smile soft, real made my heart stutter. After the speeches, I pulled her outside, away from the noise, to a quiet spot near the marina. The Golden Gate loomed in the distance, its lights flickering against the dusk. The air smelled of seaweed, and her perfume vanilla, cedar. Home. "You good?" she asked, her voice teasing but warm. "You're acting weird." "Me weird," I said, faking a laugh, my hand in my pocket, gripping the ring box. Just taking it all in. You. This city. Us. She raised an eyebrow, stepping closer, her dress catching the last rays of sunlight. Us. Huh. You getting soft on me, Ryan. Always, I said, my voice low, and her laugh was like music. I took her hand, leading her to a path along the water, where I'd set up a surprise with Keisha's help, a small picnic blanket, a lantern, and Jake's handmade sign that read, "Be my Dino Dad" in crayon. Alina stopped short, her eyes widening as she saw it, her hand tightening in mine. "Ryan," she whispered, her voice catching. "What is this?" I turned to her, my heart pounding like a drum. The sunset was fading, painting her in gold and pink, and the bridge stood behind us, a witness to what I was about to do. "Alina," I started, my voice rough. "I've spent my life building things, companies, deals, walls, but you and Jake, you're the only thing that feels real. You taught me what love is, what it means to show up, to be honest, even when it's hard. I'm not perfect, but I'm yours, and I want to be yours forever." I dropped to one knee, pulling out the ring, a simple band with a single diamond, nothing flashy, just like she'd want. Jake's sign fluttered in the breeze, and the sound of waves lapping the shore mixed with the distant hum of traffic. "Marry me," I said, my eyes locked on hers, not for money, not for anything but us. "Marry me because I love you, because Jake's my buddy, because you're my home." Her eyes filled with tears, her hand covering her mouth. For a second, I thought I'd fucked it up, that she'd say no. But then she laughed, a shaky, beautiful sound, and dropped to her knees in front of me, grabbing my face. "Hell yes," she said, her voice thick. "Yes, Ryan, yes." She kissed me, and goddamn, it was everything. Her lips were soft, warm, tasting of salt from her tears and the sweet tang of champagne from the gala. My arms wrapped around her, pulling her close, her body pressed against mine, her heartbeat racing under my hands. The sunset's last light caught in her eyes, making them glow, and the wave's rhythm was a steady pulse, like the world was cheering. Her fingers tangled in my hair, a soft moan escaping her, and it set my blood on fire. Every inch of me alive with her. The lantern's glow danced across her skin, warm and golden. And for that moment, nothing else existed, just us. This love, this promise. We pulled back, breathless, foreheads touching, both of us laughing like kids. "You're stuck with me now," I said, sliding the ring onto her finger. "Better not screw it up," she teased, but her eyes were soft, full of trust, love, everything I'd fought for. Jake came running over, Keisha trailing behind, grinning. "Mom, is Ryan my dad now?" he yelled, clutching a dino toy. Alina scooped him up, kissing his forehead. "Yeah, baby, he's family." Jake hugged me, smelling of crayons and apple juice, and I felt my heart crack open in the best way. "You're gonna be the best dino dad," he said. And I laughed, ruffling his hair. Keisha clapped me on the back. "Not bad. Rich boy. You pulled it off." The wedding was a month later, in a small park in Oakland, across the bay. It was simple, real, just like Alina wanted. The grass was green, the sky clear, and a gospel choir, friends of Alina's grandma, sang "Oh Happy Day," their voices rising like a prayer. Alina walked down the aisle in a cream dress with gala-inspired embroidery, her braids adorned with tiny flowers. Jake at her side in Dino sneakers. Keisha was her maid of honor, cracking jokes through tears. And I wore a plain tux. No tie, because Alina said it made me look human. When she reached me, her eyes were bright, and I couldn't stop staring. "You clean up nice," she whispered, smirking. "You're stealing the show," I said, my voice thick, and the crowd chuckled. The minister started, but Jake raised his hand. Dead serious. "I just want to say Ryan knows Triceratops had 3 horns, and he makes awesome pancakes." Everyone laughed, and Alina squeezed my hand, her ring glinting in the sun. We said our vows, hers about building a life together, mine about choosing her every day. When we kissed, the choir hit a high note, and the crowd cheered, Keisha yelling, "Get it." Girl Lila showed up, uninvited, standing at the back in a too-tight dress. I braced for drama, but Alina handled it. She walked over, calm as hell, and said, "Thanks for coming, but this is our day. You can leave now." Lila blinked, muttered something, and left, tail between her legs. Keisha high-fived Alina, and I fell in love with her all over again. That night, we lay in a hotel room overlooking the bay, Jake asleep in the next room, the city's lights twinkling below. Alina was curled against me, her skin warm, her breath soft. "You happy?" she asked, tracing circles on my chest. "Happier than I've ever been," I said, kissing her forehead. She smiled, her eyes soft. "Yeah, took a hell of a road to get here. But, yeah, we talked about the future, her finishing school, Jake's dino blog, maybe a house with a yard, no penthouses, no private jets, just a life built on us. She still took the bus sometimes, Said it kept her grounded, but I'd pick her up at the next stop. Like always. Some habits die hard. I thought about where we started that rainy alley in Seattle. Her counting quarters. Me thinking I had it all figured out. She'd seen something in me, something worth keeping, and I'd spent every day since proving she was right. Money couldn't buy this, her laugh. Jake's hugs, the way she hummed gospel when she cooked. This was love, messy and real, and I was exactly where I belonged. As the city slept, I held her closer, the Golden Gate a shadow outside our window. San Francisco had sealed our story, but it was just the beginning. We'd face more storms, sure, but together, we could handle anything. So, what do you think? Did Ryan and Alina earn their happy ending? Hit that subscribe button and drop a comment. Share your favorite moment or what love story you want next. Thanks for riding with us. It's been one hell of a journey.